Hello everybody and welcome to this week's episode of Analysing Anfield, your tactics and analytics podcast, courtesy of the Blood Red channel. And this week's episode is a special derby day. Dave, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm okay, mate.
As you can tell if you're viewing this on YouTube, we've got one blue and one red in the studio today.
That wasn't my idea, by the
way. Still going to be unbiased, but obviously it's a bit of an alternative take compared to previous derby episodes, because obviously I've been with Christian in the past. So we're going to spend a little bit of time covering Brighton. Then we're going to look ahead to the derby, as I said. Probably going to be a bit of a shorter episode because we're going to readdress the derby results on Thursday or Friday this week. So 2 episodes this week. But yeah, we'll get straight into it, and we'll look back at Brighton 2-1 win again.
Yeah.
But you know, what did you think? You was in the ground, wasn't you?
Yeah. It was. It was on the way to being a very comfortable afternoon for Liverpool, and then that madness happened in the second half with Alisson, and it got a little bit more nervous, but as we discussed before, it still felt in control. Is that fair to say? Which is typical of Liverpool, really. So, yeah, another 2-1 win and another important win.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, we were in control for large periods. I think Brighton offered exactly what I expected them to offer in terms of good progressive football at times, fairly well organised, certainly on the right track and that sort of thing. Not particularly cutthroat just yet. Not really inclined to punish you just yet. But still a good team in the making. I think that's relatively safe to say.
They just seem to have a direction, don't they? Like you could imagine them to be a team to notice next couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, we gave them a boost last week, didn't we?
Definitely,
and a couple of hours later, I think he got a 6-year deal or something like that. Contract extension.
On the back of our show, like.
Yeah, well, there you go. We've got listeners across the board. But yeah, I think it was a decent performance from Liverpool's perspective up until a point of madness with Alisson, which, I mean, we'll address that now. Actually, what was he doing?
I don't know. I really don't know. I said to you, he plays almost like a sweeper keeper. He's instructed to, isn't he? And if the ball goes over the high line, and he seems capable of coming off his line to intercept the ball, clear the ball, then he'll do it. And he had done that once or twice just before the incident. And I don't know, maybe it was just an eagerness to be involved in the game. You know, Brighton weren't really peppering his goal, were they? You know, it'd been a fairly easy afternoon up until that point. And I guess, that was it, just an eagerness to kind of kill the attack when he didn't really need to. Bit of a mad decision.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole concept of a sweeper keeper, I suppose. And when you're playing a high line, and it is a benefit to have a keeper that's comfortable coming out like that. But you know, in the moments, you could tell he was kind of caught between 2 decisions, whether to back off, whether to go forwards. And strangely, he opted to go forwards. I think it was still safe enough to you can retreat. I'm not sure he was going to get lobbed if he did retreat.
I agree,
It was just a difficult one, and Alisson is usually spot on when it comes to position as well. He's a master of that sort of thing, but he got this one wrong.
It's funny, isn't it? I know it's all split seconds, but had he got lobbed and he scored, you know, Liverpool still would have been in a better position, because obviously what then happened from the set piece.
Yeah,
I mean, it's all hindsight, of course, but
yeah, I think when he goes forward, it's almost instinct to just put your arm.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll have envisaged doing that. But what else can you do in a situation like that? As I said, a moment of madness. But if you look at the XG timeline, the expected goals timeline, you know,
on my screen there, before,
it's quite clear that up until the actual moment, Brighton have got an XG of about 0.4, which is on its way to a clean sheet, really.
Yeah.
And then things change, and then after Alisson sending off, I think Brighton had 5 shots, and they only had 12 in the whole match. So it did change the game. The expected goals finished at 1.8 for Liverpool and 1.1 for Brighton. 15 shots for Liverpool, 12 to Brighton. That looks closer than you think, but as I said, a lot of that was influenced by the sending off, just completely changing the game.
Yeah, but basically up until this, was it around the 70-minute mark, the red card, wasn't it, there or thereabouts?
Yeah.
It was even in the XG, it was arguably a 2-0 lead and going on to be a 2-0 game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that just obviously changed the narrative a little bit.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting and, follows the theme of this show that both of Liverpool's goals set pieces. Having said that, I didn't pick up on a great deal that suggested that Liverpool had done intricate work behind the scenes.
Annoyingly, because and I love it. I think you do as well. I love when there's just these little details that
there was one detail
work on. Oh, go on.
That I picked up on. Well, for the first goal was a free kick, isn't it? In Trent's zone, basically the zone that Trent is always in. But Brighton defended with zonal marking, and they kept, the traditional, well, not just traditional, the modern high line.
Yeah.
And Liverpool have got Salah and Trent over the ball. Salah runs up to and steps over it, and that forces Brighton's zonal marking line back about maybe 2 or 3 yards or so, and then Trent delivers.
Yeah.
I think one thing that Liverpool have got really spot on, City get it spot on all the time, is your line doesn't budge until the ball is actually kicked, and the amount of players we catch offside as a result of that is it makes a real difference when you're defending those set piece situations. But because Salah stepped over the ball, it just impacted where Brighton's line was positioned.
Yeah.
And Van Dijk ends up getting a free header.
Yeah. No, it's.
Do you have a little look at it now if you're going to go on bicycle?
Yeah, I've got it. I do. Yeah, I do vaguely remember the dummy run because they seem to do it, but
it's
I didn't notice the impact it had like that. To be honest, I didn't.
Yeah, no, it's a real subtle intricacy that most people would overlook and most teams wouldn't even do because it's deemed as pointless. But if it can force a defensive line back by about 2 or 3 yards or so, when the free kick in itself is about 30 yards, 25 yards out, it's going to make a real difference.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, both of Van Dijk's headers I thought were, relatively easy chances, to be honest, very easy to score. I thought they were just giveaways, basically, from Brighton's perspective. I think they'll be disappointed with those.
I mean, we say they're easy, but it is again down to the work that Liverpool clearly do through the week, every week on them. 20 last season they scored set pieces, 8 this season, 28 over like a season and a half. Not even that is bonkers, really, isn't it? It's. I think Bournemouth have got the most set piece goals this season with 9. That's Liverpool. Obviously, Liverpool's 20 was the highest last season, and I was actually looking at it, and if you think about it, 9 of Liverpool's last 12 points over the past 4 games have been won with set piece goals, haven't they?
9 of Liverpool's last 12.
So if you think about it, you've got Brighton, which was obviously 2 set piece goals and a 2-1 win.
Palace, yeah.
You got Palace as well, where Mane's header. Firmino's header. City was the 3-1, but then the game before that was Villa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you think about it, that's if you look at the lead that Liverpool have now got at the top of the table, if they even picked up only half the points there, that lead is not as comfortable as it is at the moment. So it just shows how important the set pieces are for Klopp's side.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Bournemouth there. I think if there's one thing that Liverpool and Bournemouth have both got in common at the minute, it's that they've both got coaches that have been in charge for a long time. And I think these are the types of things that if you do have a long-term coach in place, these are the really small details that you can gradually work on and that start making a difference. Whereas if you've been in charge for maybe, 6 months, 18 months or so, you haven't really got round to this sort of stuff, really, have you?
You've got more considered pressing matters to deal with, haven't you?
Yeah, like Liverpool have had an established 4-3-3 now for years, and to the extent that, with the exception of repetitions here and there, Klopp doesn't really have to introduce any new work on it and that sort of thing, so you can dedicate more time to set pieces and things. And
that's an important detail. It really is.
Yeah,
it says a lot that those two clubs are leading the way in it. You know, City as well, you know, are there or thereabouts, and Guardiola's been there a lot longer than people realise now. He's been there about 3 or 4 years, hasn't he? So
yeah,
it just shows that he kind of sticks with that theme of stability.
Yeah, obviously another note on that as well, just regarding recruitment. Obviously a major perk of signing a player who's almost a useful tool from set pieces in Van Dijk. Obviously a physically imposing player, 6'4", I think he is. Really built, one of the best I've seen aerially. And, you know, when you're considering from a transfer perspective and you're scouting a player, this is a thing that should come up. You know, the fact that how useful this player will be attacking set pieces, defending set pieces and things like that. Quick word, thoughts on the Ballon d'Or? Second?
Listen, you can be proud of coming second, can't you? Especially to Messi. I do think it's deserved for Messi again. I understand how great Van Dijk's been, and you know, potentially in the next year or two he could actually come first. But if anyone else was doing and putting the output that Messi was, and they had a different name, then they'd be probably nailed on for it as well. So
yeah,
but I do believe it'll be Messi's last year winning it.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
that's interesting.
Why? What do you think?
I can see. I mean, I suppose it depends. It depends how the season goes. Like, if Liverpool go on to win the Premier League and do another Champions League season, which is entirely possible based on this Liverpool team, then Van Dijk is winning with a shout again. I think Mane will be in with a shout again, and players like that. But I haven't spotted a decline in Messi at the minute, and he's still posting ridiculous numbers. I've got no issue, by the way, with Van Dijk finishing second to Messi. Tweeted about it last night, and one of the responses that I got, and the lad actually ended up blocking me. One of the responses that I got was that it's an award for the calendar year, not for who's the best over the course of a career. So I felt the need to respond to the lad saying Messi played 50 league matches this season, 50 competitive matches this season for his club, scoring 51.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
22 assists as well. Imagine, for example, Mo Salah posted that.
Yeah, I know.
There'd be all kinds of calls for him to be getting the award. So
it's just it's a sad state of affairs, really. That with Messi, you kind of just become so accustomed to it that, you know, a lot of people, probably not even Liverpool fans, neutrals, were like, "Oh, it'd be nice to see Van Dijk win it for something different." But it's not Messi's fault. He's just so good.
Yeah, a 6 out of 10 season from Messi, 7 out of 10 season from Messi is still the best in Europe.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to say. He shouldn't be a victim of his own standards just because a couple of years ago he scored 70, I think it was, in a calendar year. It doesn't mean that now we should just start giving it to random players. But we'll move on anyway. Speaking of Salah, did get a little bit of criticism. Supposedly had 18 touches on the day. 10 passes attempted. I've got a bit of a theory on this. I'm not sure about yourself.
So have I, actually, but maybe I'll let you go first.
Well, for me, I think he's a player that we've obviously addressed on this show in terms of he takes plenty of risks on the ball.
Yeah.
Ultimate data player in that regard, because he's clearly posting a lot of output in the final third. Lots of shots, lots of chances created, gives the ball away a lot as a consequence, things like that. When he's carrying a niggle though, or you know, a little tweaking, you know, away from full fitness and things like that, he still attempts as many things on the pitch, still goes along with the whole risk-taking thing. But his execution is a little bit off for me. When he's got we saw it last season with when he was saying from the dislocated shoulder, and we're seeing that now he's got a little bit of an ankle problem.
What is the ankle problem now? Do we know that?
Yeah, it was Hamza Chowdhury for Leicester.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, I remember now.
And it was a case of something to do with, like, each week before each match, Liverpool would have to drain the fluid from his ankle, whatever that means.
Sounds gross either way.
Yeah, it does. But I think when he's got that slight knock, his execution takes a knock while he's still attempting the same amount of things. And I think that influences basically how bad he looks on the pitch when he's trying the same things as usual most of the time, at least. I mean, 18 touches is a little bit uncharacteristic of him, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I agree to an extent, yeah. I think at that level, you know, you need to be, if you're not at 100%, then it can be spotted quite easy and you can struggle. But My theory is a little bit different. I just wonder whether playing with Trent behind him is hindering him a little bit.
It's not a bad shout. I haven't heard that one before.
Because I've got it up here if you want to have a gander. I was having a look at Trent's pass map from the game, and we've talked so many times about it, how he's almost like Liverpool's playmaker, isn't he? And if you look at the amount of crossfield balls that he has, crosses into the box and crosses into central areas, you know, is that affecting Salah receiving passes from his right back? And according to Y-Scouts, he only received 12 passes in the game, Salah. And I think, let me just check this. Yeah, although bear in mind, obviously Salah played 70 minutes, but him and Trent, I think they linked up about 8 times in the game. On the opposite flank, Robertson and Mane linked up on 23 occasions.
Yeah.
So I just wonder whether that's an issue at the moment. Where
what was it? 23 compared to what?
8.
8. Okay.
Yeah, which is poor, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
So we've already talked about Salah being an output merchant. If he's having less impact on the game or less chances to influence the game, then obviously he's got less all-round impact in the fixture. So yeah, I don't know what you think of that.
That's an interesting take, that. Yeah, I do like that. I mean, it's worth looking back at when Salah did have that monumental season. Who was the right back behind him? Because it won't have been Trent for the full season.
Yeah, no.
He gradually, he was still a kid, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's an interesting take. I don't think Trent is the type to go for the simple ball, really, is he?
No. He obviously, because he's capable of so much more.
Yeah, you know, his frame of vision's open to the whole pitch, basically, from the flank. So I think he's less inclined to just look down his line and give Salah the ball. Yeah, interesting take, like.
Yeah, so that could be the case. Maybe something that we'll investigate a little bit more in the future if this continues with Salah. Yeah.
But in terms of, you mentioned there, further investigation, Liverpool conceded again.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was a weird means of conceding because the whole free kick thing and all that.
By the way, just on the free kick, do you blame anyone from a Liverpool point of view, or do you think it's well worked by Dunk?
It's frustrating and it's weird from the perspective of the referee, because we, as a fan base, we seem to think that Martin Atkinson basically doesn't like us. I know that that's a common refereeing thing. No referee likes your team and that, but Atkinson does do some weird things every now and then. But having said that, I haven't got much of a problem with it. I think it was on Liverpool to just, especially we were taking a lot of time, and if the free kick's set, if the wall's relatively set, you know, you can't just be taking days to just hang about, basically. So intuitive from Dunk's perspective, the referee went along with it because he could, I suppose. Yeah. And I found a bottom corner. So you know, with things like that, I'm less inclined to just say to the referee, it's your fault. Yeah, I think it's healthier to look at yourself. Yeah, no, I agree. Take some ownership. Yeah, I think. I mean, Liverpool did exactly that to Barcelona. You know, Liverpool are masters of it. I think that's maybe why there was less complaints. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we don't often get done by that sort of thing, but you know, fair play when it does happen. But yeah, Liverpool conceded again, so it reached a point whereby I have looked into it. I've accepted that it's weird. Here we go. So. This is interesting though. I've actually looked into it right beyond the glances that I've had in the past couple of weeks, and I've came to a conclusion. I've got a theory on this. Was this what we were doing in London last week? What you were looking at? No, okay. That was different. This has been purely today, and I've wrote a piece on it as well, and that's going up today. I'm going to post it on my Twitter. So if you haven't read that piece yet, you're getting the numbers exclusively now over audio. But it's interesting because I think Liverpool, right, are inclined to... When Klopp first came to England, he was really intense, obviously, ferocious, all that sort of thing, with and without the ball. And a couple of times, Gary Neville expressed his concerns regarding, would Liverpool be able to do that, though, for 38 matches to that level? And I think... in previous seasons, we've had a little bit of a drop-off, particularly in January. Not sure whether it's been physical or what, but... And I think gradually Liverpool have mastered being able to manage your workload and that sort of thing. But I think we're still doing that. And I think we're trying to manage our workload almost during matches. I think we almost have gears, Liverpool. And I think if we've got the match virtually won, we go into first gear, cruise control and that sort of thing. Whereas if we're chasing a result, if we're behind or whatever it may be, I think then you see Liverpool's fifth gear. And you see Liverpool's fifth gear against top sides like Arsenal at Anfield when they came to Anfield early in the season. Spurs, just pen them in for the entire match. And I think Liverpool's first gear is costing clean sheets at the minute. And
so just to be clear, you're saying that you think in game they are slowing down.
I think Liverpool are intentionally, in the final 15 minutes of matches, slowing down basically.
Yeah,
taking the foot off the gas.
Just want to give a nod to Tom Stewart as well, who obviously was asking questions about this.
Yeah. I mean, the question he did ask was on my mind. It was something.
Yeah, no, I said that to him. So,
but I'll go into the numbers anyway.
Yeah, this is for you anyway, mate.
Yeah. So Liverpool conceded 12 Premier League goals this season. 6 of those have been after the 76th minute. So at 50% of Liverpool's goals have came after the 76th minute. We have faced 41 shots after the 76th minute. Now, behind that, if you split the match up into 15-minute periods, the worst period is between the 16th and the 30th minute. We've faced 27 shots. So, after the 76th minute, it goes up to 41 that were faced. I looked at last season. After the 76th minute last season, we faced a total in the whole season of 60. It's already 41. That's after 14 matches played.
So it's going to obviously probably overtake that.
Yeah, but considerably, yeah. The expected goals as well. It's clear, again. We've been expected to concede about 4.2 goals after the 76th minute. And again, the worst period before that sees us expected to concede about 2.8. So we seem, and the thing I should note as well, we've conceded 6 goals after the 76th minute. We've only scored 6 as well. It's the only period of the match. Again, if you split it up into 15-minute periods, it's the only period of the match that we're not winning. Between minute 1 and minute 15, for example, 4-2. Between minute 16 and minute 30, 6-1. Between minute 31 and 45, Liverpool wins 7-1, and then 5-0, and then 4-2. And then, as I said, it gets to the 76th minute and beyond, and it's 6-all in that period. And just go into a little bit more detail now on that. So Liverpool were 4-0 up against Norwich and conceded. 2-0 up against Southampton and conceded. 3-0 up against Arsenal and conceded. 2-0 up against Chelsea and conceded. 3-0 up to Manchester City and conceded. And 2-0 up to Brighton and we conceded. So I think it's a case of Liverpool's defence being largely the same as last season. But the whole energy management thing, whereby taking your foot off the gas and saving yourself almost for the latter stages of the season, whereby you're facing Bayern Munich in the Champions League and things like that. Save yourself if the match is won. And I think we're doing it to the extent that it's not particularly healthy, and we're conceding as a result of it. We're facing more shots as a result of it, and that sort of thing.
So do you think it's more so do you think it's intentional, or do you think there's an element of complacency coming into it?
I think it's a bit of both. I think people would be inclined to look at those numbers and think it's complacency, Liverpool are stopping. But I do think there will be a load management aspect to it, whereby we are inclined to just, if the match is won, don't kill yourselves, basically. Don't keep going full throttle when you don't need to. Save yourself. Liverpool are playing a match every 3 days for like the next 2 months or something. So if you can save yourself during matches, then do it. But at the minute, I think it's costing clean sheets. I think that's the main reason we've only kept 2 clean sheets in the Premier League all season. I think it's because of that. Obviously, 50% of our goals after the 76th minute. That's notable.
Yeah.
Don't have any thoughts?
No, I totally agree. I don't know the up-to-date numbers, but I know I did a little gander last week. Not to that extent, just mainly looking at goals, and yeah, it was upwards of 60% of Liverpool's goals conceded had come in the final 30 minutes. But I thought it was really interesting. I mentioned it actually, that it hadn't cost them any points. I do wonder whether if you keep doing that week in, week out, it will eventually cost you points, because we know the tangibles in a game, and you know, a goal can come from nothing really. Say for example on Saturday, after that it went 2-1, you know, a ball into the box bounces off, sorry to pick on him, say Lovren's head, and goes into the back of the net, and suddenly there's points dropped there. Then it is leaving a lot more to chance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, with these 1 goal margin leads. So I don't know. But then is it a catch-22? Do they have to do this to survive the busy periods?
That's what I mean. It's long-term planning, if you like. Just to manage your energy levels. Don't overexert yourself if you don't have to. But as I said, our defence looks to have taken a hit as a consequence of that. It's not just the goals that are going in. We're clearly facing more shots as well in that period of the match, and we're facing, you know, expected goals is higher and things like that. Yeah. So it's one to keep an eye on. A little bit of a concern, but if you can shore that up, then you start keeping more clean sheets and your defence is back to normal, and people stop talking about it. But
plus, you know, as you said before, some of the goals have been a bit fluky. Yeah. You know, the one against Brighton probably wouldn't have happened without that moment of madness. You know, the Newcastle goal was, I know he scored against
that was earlier in the match, that one though.
Yeah, but what I mean, sorry, is it was still a bit, you know, a kind of hit into the top corner that he doesn't do every week. I know he scored against City on the weekend, but Wilhelm, is it?
Willem, yeah.
Willems, sorry.
Jetso Willems, I think it is.
He scored a great goal at Anfield, but as I said, he doesn't do it every week. And there's been a few of them where they've just been a bit of a moment of randomness.
Yeah, one of them where if you said, you know, go on, do it again, then you wouldn't be able to.
Exactly, so I don't think it's as bad as it seems, but Liverpool fans will start feeling better when they do get a few more clean sheets on the board.
Yeah, but interesting theory anyway on Liverpool's defence, and as I said, a piece of mine is going up on that, so check me Twitter if you want to read through it in a bit more depth. But we will move on anyway to the main purpose of the pod, main purpose of the week, I suppose. The derby. How you feel?
I mean, I think Everton would have preferred this game at different points in the season, but
they do say though, don't they, that these can be a blessing sometimes if you need a bit of a boost.
I think they've got a really tough run, and I think you would actually welcome it, because, you know, it does give you that extra little bit of motivation. I think from an Everton perspective, you'd be more confident at Goodison. You know, the record at Anfield is just weighing them down at the moment. Yeah. To the point where
it's weird.
Yeah, it's crazy for 2 Premier League sides. And bear in mind, obviously now Liverpool are just really, really one of the best teams in the world, if not the best. They're up there. But over the course of the last 20 years, you know, Liverpool have had some, by their standards, poor sides, and Everton have had some good ones. But it just shows really the psychological aspects of fixtures that do come into play at this level.
Yeah. I mean, watched Everton on the weekend against Leicester. Obviously, there was a formational switch, which I think will be kept for. I do. Yeah. I'm not sure if there's any players that are now back fit, but Everton switched to a 5-4-1 without the ball.
Yeah.
Which Leicester obviously struggled to break down for large periods up until the change.
It's meant to be a 3-4-3, isn't it? But as you've just touched on there, it's basically a 5-4-1 without the ball, and then trying to break out. Yeah,
I mean, obviously your formation will depend on if you've got a back three. If you see more of the ball, then it'll be a back three. If you see less of the ball, it'll be a back five. And I think at Anfield, I'm inclined to think Liverpool will dominate possession.
Yeah.
Gylfi Sigurdsson in central midfield, which I was surprised at the time. But you obviously said that derives from a lack of options, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. I've touched on before, and more so on the Analysing Everton show that we do, that for all the faults the side have had this season, they have been so unlucky, particularly with injuries through the middle, and yeah, they've just got a lack of fit central midfielders. You know, Sigurdsson isn't a central midfielder. I'm not sure what Sigurdsson is actually, but I don't think he's a central midfielder. But they've had to play him, unfortunately. To be honest with you, I didn't watch the game and think he was a huge hindrance at all. But
I didn't, but particularly late on. Yeah, particularly late on, I think a lot of Leicester's breaks originated from the centre of the park and being able to assume possession behind Davies and Sigurdsson, which obviously is something that I'm assuming Liverpool will pick up on. Say, for example, if Firmino just drops off behind Sigurdsson or something like that.
I think the way Everton are going to have to try and counter that is they're going to have to try and bring one of the three men from the central defence to follow him.
Yeah,
or it's a channel
open up.
Yeah, it's risky. But yeah, the problem with Sigurdsson and Davies is there's no ball retention in the middle, really. You know, Davies is a little bit inclined to be a little bit more attack-minded in his passing, which, as we know and as we discuss, can often lead to loose balls or giving the ball away. So, yeah, it's not a perfect midfield by any stretch. And it actually makes me think that Liverpool should probably focus more on building through the midfield in this fixture.
Yeah, I mean, you know, what are your general thoughts on Everton then? Because from an objective standpoint, we obviously analysed them last week for the first Analysing Everton episode. But objectively, according to the numbers, they don't look that bad, particularly on the defensive side. And I said to you before, considering he's supposedly experiencing his last days at Everton, you know, Marco Silva, I'm not massively looking forward to facing Everton. I'm not inclined to think this will be an easy game. You looked at the numbers before, didn't you? And they don't really ever suffer heavy defeats.
No.
So, like, I was in the ground for Roberto Martinez's last match in charge.
Anfield.
Yeah. We won 4-0. I think we had something like 42 attempts. The cop was singing Bobby Martinez.
So they might still be singing Marco Silva on Wednesday. We don't know. Yeah.
No, but that's what I mean. I think Liverpool at that point was. I expected that result. I expected dominance. I wanted Martinez to keep the job. Silva, I think he's got you well drilled defensively without the ball. It's a bit weird.
Yeah. So yeah, it is bizarre. I mean, where to start really? Yeah, they tend to defend well. You know, they haven't got on paper. They haven't got a great defensive record. But as you know, on this show we look at the underlying numbers, and on paper they're not a bad side. And in terms of performance levels, the table doesn't do them justice. They should be closer to around 8th or 9th in the league, which obviously they have aspirations to be higher. But as I said, the table is a little bit misleading at the moment. They've been really unlucky in big moments, and in such a low scoring game like football, you know, a goal can basically change the result, as we know, and they've had so many go against them. You know, we saw it against Leicester on Sunday, and there was a VAR decision against Brighton which potentially cost them 3 points, never mind a point. But yeah, defensively they are pretty solid. You know, I've said before, last time I checked, they've faced the 5th fewest shots.
She's going to check that now,
yeah. As of last weekend, they'd faced the 5th fewest shots in Europe's top 5 leagues, which obviously we know that now, but I imagine there's a few people listening who are quite shocked by that. But the issue is they've got the highest XG per shot in the Premiership. Now going back 10 years there in the Premier League.
This week I'm joined by Andy Gray.
Yeah, they got the highest XG per shot in the Prem. And I think it was the 3rd highest across Europe's top 5 leagues, which basically tells you that yet they don't face many shots, but the shots they do face tend to be of a really clear-cut high quality.
Yeah, they are still 5th.
Yeah.
Surrounded by good teams. Do you know
elite sides, really, isn't there? There's only...
Yeah, I mean, hang on a sec. Let me just do per 98. So 4th, actually. So the lowest team, somehow, we'll have to look at these, in Europe's top 5 leagues for shots faced per 90 is Getafe. They only face 6.3 per 90. then Manchester City, then Real Madrid, then Everton. Which, offers an insight into how difficult they are to actually generate shots against. And that was the case last season as well.
Yeah.
Difficult team to actually generate shots against, but the problem is with Everton, once you do generate those shots, they're obviously quite clear cut. But considering the derby, the focus of players during the derby, determination and all that, I'm inclined to think those clear cut chances will come less. Even though it's a better team in Liverpool than normal. I just think you're that bit more focused, aren't you?
Yeah, you are. Yeah, Anfield and stuff. You've got to be at the top of your game. The adrenaline will be pumping very early on. I'm sure it is at every game, but for this one, probably a bad sleep tonight for the players and stuff. And yet, a big problem for Everton was they tried to be a pressing team, or they've tried to be, haven't they? They had the second most aggressive press in the Premier League last season. At times, it's been like that, but Silva seems to be certainly against sides who are on paper better. So it was the case against Leicester, it was the case against Tottenham and City. He seems to be happy to sit more in a, I wouldn't say low block, I'd say medium block.
I'd say mid block, yeah.
Yeah, but like, for example, last season, their average PPDA was around 9, and against Leicester it was 17.6. So you're probably going to see something very similar at Liverpool, maybe 30% possession of the ball.
Yeah, it's kind of like that Klopp approach, when he first came to England, it was like, in big matches, you can have the ball.
Yeah.
We'll press you into mistakes when you open up a trap for us, and then when you make that mistake, we'll punish you immediately. That's Everton is similar in that way, I think. But the issue is, despite being defensively good for the most part, they don't tend to have a great deal in attack.
No.
Strange attacking players, which I've said plenty of times now on Analysing Everton.
Yeah.
Just weird profiles that don't benefit one another.
No.
Like Firmino benefits Salah, for example.
Yeah. I haven't got the numbers, but I'd say, just going off eye test alone, they're not great in terms of working open play shots.
Yeah, well, the 7th in the league for shots taken, but 14th for expected goals, which obviously says that their XG per shot is obviously bad.
Yeah.
So they're taking an okay amount of shots, but when those shots come, they're not really worth much. Hence why the 14th for XG.
Yeah.
Not very good at all at creating clear-cut chances, which doesn't bode well considering they're facing, for me, the best defence certainly in England.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about Europe, but
yeah, I think Everton's main form of attack, which, I was actually critical of this recently in another show we did, and I take it back a little bit because I've had more of a look at it, and they've scored. Sorry, I should specify their main form of attack tends to be working the ball out wide through the fullbacks and putting crosses into the box. Now, I was critical because I think they can be over-reliant on it. They've put the 3rd highest number of crosses in the division with 289, behind only Liverpool and City. But obviously Liverpool and City have got different forms of attack where sometimes Everton haven't. But they have scored 7 headed goals this season, which is half of all the league goals scored. So they can be a threat in the air, to be fair. And look, I think they've got a big issue coming up against Lovren and Van Dijk in the air, but through Digne and Sidibe, who are on the whole good attackers from out wide, they could be showing chances to cross the ball into the box if Liverpool's fullbacks are caught.
I've just what you've said then, I just thought about that then, and I thought to myself, Liverpool don't tend to concede many from headers, So I've just got up Europe's top 5 leagues this season, conceded goals from headers, and Liverpool are joint best in Europe alongside a host of other teams, to be fair. I think there's
4 Premier League sides.
Yeah, there's about 30, well, not 30, about 20 to 30 teams in Europe that have only conceded one header. Liverpool are one of them, alongside Newcastle, Sheffield United, Watford, and then, a host of other European teams. I'll check last season as well. Again, Liverpool only one throughout the whole of last season in Europe's top 5 leagues.
Have they conceded one yet this season?
One.
Okay.
One. So last season,
So that's the one gone for this season, is it?
Yeah. Last season, Liverpool were the only team in Europe's top 5 leagues to concede one header.
Yeah.
You got Barcelona on 2 headers, Atletico Madrid on 2 headers, Lille on 3, Bayern Munich on 3. But, you know, that shuts down a little bit, I suppose, what Everton's major threat is. I suppose you could paint it that way.
Yeah. But I think maybe just in terms of getting balls from wide areas into the box, because I think there will be a chance that they could be bestowed some time or some opportunities to work the ball out from wide if Liverpool's fullbacks have pushed on and been caught out a little bit. But yeah, it doesn't bode well, does it really, if that's their main form of attack and they're coming up against that centre-back pairing. So it will be tough from an attacking point of view. Yeah.
I mean, their problems in attack, for me, the whole setup at Everton reminds me a little bit of Liverpool from a couple of years ago, on the pitch at least. Just because when Klopp first came in, obviously Klopp's a pressing coach. He never had to previously worry too much about the whole possession game because all of his chances would be created through pressing. Then he comes to England and plays against the likes of, you know, Sam Allardyce and Sean Dyche and managers that are inclined to just say, are you going to press us? Okay, fine, we'll just hit the ball over you. So I think Liverpool had to develop a pressing game, but a possession game, sorry. But I think Everton at the minute, defensively quite good at the whole pressing thing. With possession, they're relatively clueless.
Yeah.
And when they do concede a chance, although they're defensively good, when a chance does come, it tends to be scored. And Liverpool were like that.
Yeah.
Liverpool were defensively really good at pressing. When you give us all the ball, we were a bit less good. And when we did concede, when we did face a quality chance, Mignolet had concede. So I think that it's quite a similar situation. And the way we got around that was possession work, but it was also just sign better players, sign players that are more threatening. We've now got Alexander-Arnold at right back as opposed to Klein.
Yeah.
We've got Van Dijk centre back as opposed to maybe Scale, who it used to be. Robertson left back, you know, as opposed to Moreno, who's a bit of a mess at times.
Yeah, say that again. I've said before, I think Everton's biggest issue in terms of attacking is the ball isn't retained well enough high up the pitch when the forwards. You know, if you think about Liverpool, best example. Think about when they just pen sides in, or they get to work to the edge 18-yard box, and there might be 9 or 10 opposition players camped in there, defensively in good shape. You know, fairly tough to play through, but Liverpool just working the ball side to side. You know.
It comes in waves, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, yeah. You know, just good movements off the ball, keeping the ball moving, making it really hard for defenders to settle, whereas Everton can't seem to do that. They seem to get it up into the final third. They don't link very well with each other, and it's all about just trying to work the ball into the box as quick as possible and trying to get a shot off, and it's very easy to defend against. And I actually think Everton need to focus less on getting the goal, man. Less on getting the 20-goal a season striker, and more just getting players who can work the ball in the final third, have a little bit of composure.
Yeah, players who can probe and that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think if they got that, they'd be a much better attacking unit. But they haven't got that at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose Iwobi's probably the closest to that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Iwobi performs. Out of our bubble, he's perceived as not a great player, and people seem to think Arsenal got a really good deal on him, but we're both big fans of him, aren't we? And I think he'll go on to be one of Everton's best players. And it'll be interesting to see how he can perform in a fixture like this. If he can be that kind of, I don't know, just that little bit of that creative spark, for want of a better term.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned there about Everton's struggles when required to break down a team. Do